Radio host James T., or simply JT Harris, host of a radio show on 104.1 KQTH in Tucson, which is a station formerly known as The Truth. JT is kind of like Alex Jones mixed with the morning zoo. JT paired up with his engineer, who's like Eddie Van Halen on the soundboard. Let's check out a little sample.
That is absurd.
That is absurd.
104.1 The Truth.
Yes. Talk for Tucson. Real. It just happens to be.
I'll be back for you later, baby. I'm gonna go see the dog. Hang on.
They're talking about people do not have the right to unregulated rights.
Well,
Inspiring. All right, last week, this was actually last month, excuse me. JT attacked Zyra for being the mastermind behind the Cup It Up coup. And we should believe it because JT Harris is a hard-hitting journalist who only covers the tough stories. Let's get red-pilled and see a sample of some of his truth bombs.
story number 2. Toy Boy, I guess this is a cougar in her, yeah. Toy Boy becomes stuck, Toy Boy becomes stuck inside married lover after he suffers from penis captivus. That's when it kind of grows larger than it's supposed to in certain spots, then it gets stuck. Shipwrecked man saves dog before wife.
That is absurd.
I can even tell you what the Vulcan period of going into heat is called.
Oh, Pomfar.
Oh, all right.
Pomfar.
Yes.
I know all about Pomfar.
Yeah.
I live with smoking hot. Pomfar was like almost like every 7 years. Anyway. Give us some Spock.
A little bit of Spock. That would be illogical.
Yeah.
I'm not sure. See, because Spock is a tough one because he has no emotions.
Right.
I like characters, that they get the emotion.
It's true, he can't do characters without emotion. His JT Harris impression is terrible. So from those clips, you can figure out the kind of guy we're dealing with here. And yes, editing together some clips to make someone look crazy is pretty easy. But some are easier than others, and I didn't have to search very hard, to be honest. So from 2008 to 2011, it looked like JT actually had a moment in the sun. He appeared on a bunch of major networks in 2008 when he backed then presidential candidate John McCain. Here he was on Good Morning America trading jabs with George Stephanopoulos, the 56-year-old boy wonder.
Though with that tweet where he falsely accused President Obama of spying on him, and it turned out to be, overwhelming for several weeks there at the beginning of the administration, aren't they worried about these self-inflicted wounds?
Absolutely not. As a matter of fact, after that tweet, they called it, the tweet grenade into the mainstream media's living room.
See you later. We're on a break right now.
No, you're not.
Oh. He didn't really call it that. That guy totally just made that up. We called it the grenade to Stephanopoulos teleprompter. And there's no way that the tweet grenade thrown into the mainstream media's living room could ever fit on a meme. I call shenanigans. Since that appearance, JT soured on McCain, later in a tweet calling him a, quote, Manchuria candidate, which means nothing because it's called Manchurian candidate. But maybe I'm splitting hairs here. Moving on. After McCain lost to Obama, the major network appearances dried up. Big Ben Carson came along and took away the token conservative black guy of cable news. That's when JT moved to Tucson and started his conservative radio show. In addition to his show, JT films Mike Cernovich diary-style vlogs and posts them on YouTube. If nothing else, they serve as proof that production values don't matter anymore. Let's take a look.
Punch. Than to have Kathy Griffin giving a press conference, as the bride of ISIS, a day after President Trump pulls us out of the Paris Accords and the whole world freaks out.
I know.
I haven't had this much fun since election night. I'm not kidding. I actually went back and watched another, ABC announcing or coming to terms to grips with the fact that President Trump won the election. I went back and watched that again. That's how much I've been enjoying this.
All right, calm down there, JT. You're gonna ruin the upholstery. Now I see why he sets the camera on the other side of the windshield. Mommy, why does Daddy sit in the car all day? Fun fact, JT Harris starts each show by hotboxing a fart. And it isn't just Trump and Hillary that he talks about. He's got some enlightening views on the environment. Let's hear what he has to say.
I mean, you want to talk about winning. You've got the whole world freaking out over the president pulling us out of a meaningless accord. According to them, it was meaningless. According to them, it was symbolic. According to them, even if everything went right, we would only change the Earth's temperature by 2 degrees Celsius, which is even less than degrees. If that makes sense. It doesn't make sense because none of this makes sense.
No, it doesn't make sense. It's Celsius and Fahrenheit, not Celsius in degrees. First off, Celsius has a higher value than Fahrenheit. Secondly, they're both measured in degrees. Comparing Celsius to degrees is like saying miles are smaller than hours. Third, why are you talking about climate science when you're saying things like Celsius is smaller than degrees? Clearly, it's out of your frame of expertise unless climate change unleashes the 7-year Ponfar period. And that's okay. You don't need to address every issue. But he certainly tries. And of course, he's taken on the most pressing issue of our time. Nuclear war? Syria? Iraq? Are you ready for the football?
And now we have Roger Goodell coming out and saying that President Trump disrespected the NFL. No, he didn't. Roger, you're disrespecting the country by letting these rich-ass players protest the country. You're disrespecting the American people. You're disrespecting the Shield. You're letting this mess go on. The other owners are letting this mess go on. President Trump calls you out and also calls out how everybody is pussifying the NFL. You know, he went right after the lefties in this whole concussion. It's not nonsense. It's a serious issue. But you're letting the left destroy the league over this, trying to destroy quintessentially what is America.
So brain injuries are quintessentially American? Actually, he's right about
James,
that.
I want to start
And what is he still talking about the NFL for? He should know we all moved on to Eminem. Come on, keep up. We're mad at Eminem now. NFL was so last week. But it's no surprise that the Cup It Up story will be front and center on Harris's show. It's clear that he wants to become some sort of influential conservative voice on the national level. But he's stuck in Tucson with all of us slobs. So in a story containing all of the key elements of a conservative outrage orgy, and it happened in Tucson, you know he's spending even more time alone in that car. Think about it. On one side, you've got a patriotic small business who supports the president. On the other, you've got a leftist woman from Mexico who, according to the Federalist Papers, is actually a man. So it's no wonder that he took this one up. But what's interesting is that Harris was once in Zyra's situation. He appeared on CNN back in 2008 and talked about how he was receiving loads of hate mail because of his views. While he tries to present a blasé attitude about it, it starts to unravel as the interview goes on. Let's take a look.
James, I want to start with you. It's been almost a week now. Are you still getting hammered by the black community and getting all this hate mail?
Absolutely. How you doing, Kara? Listen, this has been 6 days, and I've lost like about 12 pounds. I feel great. This is like, I'm in the Kill You Sambo diet.
But on a serious note, you've been getting some pretty vile emails, and it's even stuff that's made your daughter cry.
Yes. Actually, it's hundreds of emails a day. At first it was hot and heavy, but the good news is that the cavalry has arrived. Ever since my appearance with CNN before, we won't talk about that, but people have been coming to my defense, so now it's kind of like even with the hate mail, maybe a little bit more positive mail than hate mail. So,
Wait, what's positive hate mail? You're a piece of trash, but I have a few suggestions on how you can improve. I believe in your ability to change. Send. So he says he's not bothered by it, that it was even good for him. But look at the same interview less than 3 minutes later, and that chilled out guy from before is nowhere to be found. Let's take a look.
names. That is their choice. I am making my choice as a free American, and I'm sick to death of liberals coming on bashing me because of my choice as a man. First of all, I am a man that can make a choice, and I am sick and tired of people bleeding all over me because of their insecurities. You are insecure, man. Don't tell me what I am.
First of all, sir,
let
me say
nothing. I'm done.
All right, I'm just leaving. Well, Kira, let me say this. Let me say this. The fact of the matter is, the insult is leveled at me when you call me a liberal, first of all.
Yeah, it sucks when people write mean things about you online, doesn't it? maybe you should write the Arizona Daily Independent a letter. You can even do it in your car. But just like a lot of these guys, JT does it for the show, the showmanship. As I've said many times before, these guys are trying to be celebrities more than anything else. They could care less about the truth. If it'll get them attention, they'll do it. Simple as that. And I'm only taking this from JT's own station manager. Listen to this.
You know, those are some of James's hooks, the way he draws people in. In other words, it's better to have somebody talking about you, even if it can tend to be negative, than to not talk about you at all. And also, you know, a radio talk show host, like especially in Tucson, you know, you get the bigger markets and you get these talk show hosts who, you know, some of them are jackasses, some of them are jerks. They just do, it's part of the showbiz of it.
So there it is, showbiz, which would be fine if it weren't impacting real people. And the problem is that people are mistaking entertainment for information. Kind of like me. You shouldn't take me seriously. If you're getting your news from this show, shut it off. You don't need this. In fact, I'm probably making you dumber. So I'm gonna ask for a truce. I've been hard on Cup It Up, but to be honest, I've never tried their food. Maybe it would have been the best meal I've ever had. I'll never know. And to be fair, the owners, Christopher Smith and Jay Warren, apologized for the post, saying the decision was, quote, regretful. But the thing is, they didn't acknowledge why it's regretful. The post was purposely inflammatory. If they didn't expect some pushback, then why did they tell people to share it 100 times if they disagreed? So it might not be surprising that the day after that interview, the apology, Smith told a reporter that, quote, there was nothing that we put in the post that was absolutely wrong and terrible, and that we supported our president and our troops. So, sorry, not sorry kind of thing there. Very
that is absurd.
And
that
no,
is.
supporting the president and our troops isn't absolutely wrong and terrible. But you know what is? Supporting drug testing for welfare recipients. Forget that it's been shown that drug testing is a waste of money and that people on welfare are actually less likely to use drugs. But more importantly, it sends a message to Americans that these people, these poor people, are all potential drug addicts, even when most of them aren't. How about we drug test anyone who works for a business that gets a federal tax break? Doesn't sound so good anymore, does it? But I should end by letting the third owner of Cup It Up off the hook. Julian Alarcon reportedly had nothing to do with the post, and from his comments, sounds genuinely sorry for what happened. Most likely, he probably just wants the whole thing to go away. Unfortunately, the GOP in our state are calling for people to support Cup It Up and demand a return, so politicizing a stupid thing like this. From here on in, let's just let it be, and maybe someday we'll see a restaurant that serves food and nothing but cones. I'd like to see it. All right, that's all the time I got for today. I'll see you next week, same time, same place. Have a good weekend. Later.